Hi, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and I want to welcome you to the new and improved Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways podcast. After many years of interviewing the best and brightest thought leaders around the world on my SiriusXM show, I am excited to now have those interviews available to people around the globe on this podcast. So many people would write us and say, I love what I've been hearing about your interviews with these great people. Where can I access them? I live in this country or that country, or I don't have access to that technology. How can I get the information? Well, I'm so excited now that we are able to offer the information and the interviews free on this podcast. So we want you to sit back and enjoy this message and let me know how you like them. And then do me a favor. If you like them, send a review, write a review and post it. And if you like it, hit like on here and share it and tell everybody you know about it, and then subscribe to this podcast so you'll get the alerts when we post a new interview episode. Thank you for listening and enjoy the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways podcast.
Named one of the outstanding 5 speakers in the world.
Inducted into the Speaker Hall of Fame.
Award-winning singer.
Best-selling author.
And now, here's Willie Jolley.
Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Willie Jolley coming to you another time with another opportunity to give you some principles that will help you to do more, be more, and achieve more. Today's program is a program that you're going to want to share with everybody in your network, because everybody, and I do mean everybody, is going to be impacted by loss sooner or later. And when it impacts you, how does it impact you? It can make you lose focus. It can make you ill, and it can make you less able to create wealth. Today, we've got a program that has changed my life. I want you to listen, and it will change your life, and you're going to want to share it with everybody you know. This show is about life after loss, and not only how to survive loss, but how to thrive in the midst of it. You want to listen to this show. You and I have only just a minute, only 60 seconds in it. It's forced upon us. We can't refuse it. We didn't seek it. We didn't choose it. But it's up to us to use it. We must suffer if we lose it, give account if we abuse it. Just a tiny little minute, but our eternities are all wrapped up in it. That's God's minute from my mentor from afar, or my model of excellence, I like to say, Dr. Benjamin Mays, who was Martin Luther King Jr.'s mentor, who taught him how to dream big, how to think big, how to proceed against the odds, and how to be fearless in the face of challenges. And so that 1 minute, God's minute, that we must make the most of each and every minute we have. And so I start every show, every program, every poem, I get an opportunity to get in front of somebody with that minute, because it has been my poem for over 25 years since I've been a speaker, and one that I have used to commemorate and to celebrate Dr. Benjamin Mays. Now, as many of you know, I start every show giving God glory, giving him praise, and thanking him for life and strength and health. I'm grateful that the show is #1 in America now for self-help. I'm grateful for the speaking tours. I'm grateful for the best-selling books. I'm grateful for the television and the PBS specials. But I am most grateful for life and strength and health. I'm grateful for family. I'm grateful for friends. I'm grateful for the things that money cannot buy. And those are the things that I'm most grateful for. So I'm grateful for all of you who listen to this show, who make this a part of your weekly routine. I want to encourage you, as I have done in the past, to do me a couple favors. 1, that you will continue to listen. And 2, that you will tell your friends about this show and when it airs and what station it airs on. And 3 is that you put it on your social media. Some of the lessons you learn, some of the tidbits, the life-changing ideas that come as a result of this, put it on social media. Tell your network about it and tell them that they can access it, but most importantly, tell them how they can change their lives with those principles, because we want to share the message. I tell people often that each one of us can make a difference, and that if you take an apple and you cut that apple in half and you pull out all the little seeds in that apple, put them on a table, you can count the seeds that are in that apple, but you can never count the apples that will come from those seeds. And so you'll be making a difference in somebody's life who might need a word of encouragement from you, not me, but from you, because they know you, they trust you, and you have access to them. Encourage them with some positive information. And I want to thank our sponsor, Truist Bank. BB&T and SunTrust came together to create a new bank called Truist, and they started with one concept, care. They build it on a foundation of care, because when you start with care, you build a different kind of bank. Truist Bank. Check them out at truist.com. Truist.com. Today's show focuses on care and how you have to learn how to care for yourself and others through difficult moments so you can win more. Today, that's why I wanted to have this show I'm about to have with you. It's different than our regular shows. We might have, many of you who listen often, the big tycoons of business. We might have the founders of big companies. We might have motivational speakers and people who are well known in the book selling industry for their motivational books. But the book and the person I want to talk to you about today is a person who has changed my life personally. He has personally impacted me, and I had to find him. I had to reach out and look for him until I found him. And I found him, sent an email and asked, could we just have a conversation? He was gracious enough to respond back. And since then, we've become friends, and I'm very grateful. His name is Bob Deits. He was a pastor for over almost 50 years, but that's not what brought him to my life. When my mother died in 2003, I was devastated. I was a mama's baby boy, lived a mile from my mother, refused to live further than that. Every day I would take my mama some coffee from 7-Eleven and a sausage sandwich. I would call her if I was traveling, speaking. But every day, my mama heard from me either in person or by phone. In 2003, April 11th, my mama died. And of course, I was devastated. A friend of mine heard about me losing my mother, and he blessed me with a book called Life After Loss. I wasn't sure I was going to want to read anything. I'm struggling here, but the Spirit told me to pick up this book and start reading it. And once I read the first page, I was hooked. Read the whole book. Changed my thinking, changed my life. It gave me a new perspective. I had no idea at that moment when I finished that book that 3 weeks later, 2 weeks after I finished the book, but 3 weeks after my mother's death, my brother, my only sibling, would die. And the same day, my father-in-law would die. I had the death of 3 people, but that book and grief counseling got me through it. And now I tell people about this book around the world, literally around the world. I've had somebody come up to me after a speech and they'll say, I really love your book, A Setback Set Up for a Comeback. I need a comeback. My husband died, or my wife died, or my son died, or somebody died, or I had some grief. And I'll tell them, I appreciate you liking my book, but here's what I want you to do. I want you to go get a book called Life After Loss by Bob Deits. Go get it. Well, I got Bob Deits on the line today. He has sold hundreds of thousands of copies of Life After Loss. It has become a bestseller. It's going into its a new printing, I think the 5th or 6th printing edition, because people are demanding this book, because so many people are like me and said this book changed their life. We buy them now. My wife and I buy them by the box load. And we send them when somebody close to us has a family death, or a loved one that we get a word of. We don't send we don't call them and say, hey, if anything you need, let us know. No, we send them something because we know what they need. They need this book. So, folks, I got the one and only Bob Deits. He's on the line. Thank you, Bob Deits, for making time to be on with me today.
Well, you're very welcome. I'm glad to be here, and appreciate what you said about the book. One coming out is edition 6, and they're not just reprints. I rewrite every one of them.
Wow.
The last one was done 2009. The new one will be out May 2nd.
May the 2nd. So it's coming up soon, and we want people to know about it. We want people to go get it. I know. Here's what I learned. I learned that many people struggle with grief, and I think you talk about it in your book, and how many times they will learn to carry that grief. They will. It's like a 50-pound weight on their back that over time they learn how to carry unless they get rid of it, unless they do the process. And you talk very greatly about the process in this book. Now, folks, it's interesting. Let me read a little more about Bob and what this book is all about as well, because he doesn't just talk about the loss of a loved one. That's part of the grief process or grief that we know of. But what he talks about is grief from another perspective. He's highly respected among his contemporaries in the field. The scope of the book covers death, divorce, job loss, relocation, and other experiences of loss. That was profound to me because we usually just think of death. But divorce, many people grieve after divorce. They grieve when they lose their job, get downsized, right-sized, human re-engineered, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes they grieve when they have to move. Many people in very transient positions and careers, they have to leave friends and family. Sometimes you see it in the service when people have to relocate from one base to another, and they leave all their friends, all their family members, and so grief comes in so many different ways, the loss. And so that is what I thought was profound. The book has been reprinted in multiple languages: German, Spanish, Chinese, French, Russian, Greek, Hebrew. And I'm telling you, folks, this book will change your life. So I've given them, Bob, you've been a pastor. You were a pastor. You're retired now. How many years were you pastoring?
Well, I still am.
Oh, you're still pastor.
Well, I'm see, retiring from the ministry is like trying to retire from being a mother. It just doesn't work very well. So I stayed retired about 6 months, and then went back to work again. But I'm on a part-time basis, but it's you still do it.
Yes.
And what you said, the thing that introduced me to grief and my wife was moving. It wasn't a death. We'd had deaths in our family. Her 6-year-old brother was killed 2 months after we got married, and we were still teenagers.
Wow.
And, but it was moving and leaving grandkids behind and leaving a familiar place. And then later, June, my wife, in 1994, lost her left breast to cancer. And she, literally worked her way through mourning. She wrote a goodbye letter titled "Goodbye, My Breast," and to acknowledge, this loss of this part of her feminine identity. And she came out of that just fine. But the big thing is, I think, with any loss, is to address it and to face it. To never, ever, ever use the term "get over" because there isn't any. I know you know that.
Right.
You get through these things, not over, around, under, or anything else like that. The unique thing about the new book is all the other 5 editions were written from my perspective, working with other people's grief for 38 years. The 6th edition, I wrote in the months following my wife's death.
Wow.
And so this one takes on a new perspective. I will say that in a strange sort of satisfaction, I didn't have to take back anything I said in earlier editions of the book. When it was my turn to go through it's all the same. The only advantage maybe I had in anybody is I knew what was coming. There's no surprises, but it hurt just as bad. It didn't give me any break knowing that. But this one, besides having other people's stuff, has my own experience too.
Wow. Well, what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about this book and the principles that people can use in their personal lives. Because some of you folks, I'm telling you, you want to hear his message. He is a gentleman who is in his 80s and is teaching people still how to overcome grief. This is Dr. Willie Jolley, and for sure, your best is yet to come. We'll be right back. Afraid of flying, I always
Are you ready to revolutionize your relationship with money? I'm Brian Ford, a financial wellness expert.
And I'm Bright Dixon, an expert in positive psychology. Together, we host Money and Mindset with Bright and Brian, a podcast from Truist Bank that's all about exploring the relationship between your money, your mindset, and your well-being.
Find us wherever you listen to podcasts or truist.com/money and mindset podcast.
This is Dr. Willie Jolley, host of the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways Show. The smart first step to buying a home is knowing how much you can afford. A Truist mortgage professional can help you understand that in just a few minutes. Connecting with a lender first helps you to be more confident in your search. Truist offers loans that can help you become a homeowner with a low down payment. The best way to find out if you qualify for a low down payment loan is to talk with a Truist mortgage professional. Visit truist.com/mortgage. Truist.com/mortgage to see current rates, to get a sample mortgage payment using their calculator, and find resources to help you buy a home. Talk to a Truist mortgage professional about your loan options. Having that relationship in place can help you find the best financing options available to you. Truist Bank is an equal housing lender. When you start with care, you get a different kind of bank. Truist Bank.
The D to the T to the I to the T to the U to the D to the E. A to the D to the T to the I to the T to the U to the D to the E. It's about your attitude. It's about your attitude. It's about your attitude. It's all about your attitude. It's about your attitude. It's about your attitude. It's about your attitude. It's all about your attitude. It's about your attitude. It's about your attitude.
And we're back. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways Show. And, you know, when we talk about wealthy ways, we talk about how you can be wealthy. And one of the most important wealth principles, I think, is wealthy by being healthy. Health wealth is one of the most powerful wealth principles or concepts that people can have because it is critically important to your generating financial wealth. So you want to have health wealth. You want to have financial wealth. You want to have relationship wealth. You want to have reputational wealth. All of these are wealth principles that are part of our human experience and human condition. And so this show today is about a different one of health wealth, with particularly how do you deal with grief. So I am in Topeka, Kansas, speaking for the big I Have a Dream week that they have there to celebrate Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. And it's a week-long activity, one of the biggest week activities or activities for a week in the country. And I'm doing a number of events, and then I do the big Saturday night gala where all the city leaders come out and everybody black tie is fantastic. And Sunday morning I speak at a church. And I tell the story how I got through my grief, losing my mother, my brother, and my father-in-law. How I got through that process. And it was two things. It was, I told them the book, Life After Loss, and an experience I had that I write about in the book, Chicken Soup for the Christian Soul. Anyway, I tell the whole story. I give them the whole process because something in my spirit said, don't give a shortened version. Don't give the Reader's Digest version. Give the whole thing. When I finished, the city council chairman had been sitting in the front row. He came up to me with tears in his eyes and said, Brother Jolley, I don't know what made you give that story today, but you were talking to me. I've been struggling for my mama's death for 5 years. 5 years. And your story and your recommendation today released me from that grief. He said, I'm going to get that book, and thank you for that story you shared about your process. And so, folks, I realized that many people, everybody's going to have grief sooner or later. Everybody's going to have their turn. And so you better have a way to get through it, or it can stop, and almost sometimes arrest you. I've had people say, I couldn't get past it. I was stuck. But this book is profound. It is profound. Again, the author is Bob Deits. He's a pastor. He's one of the leading experts on the concept of grief. The book is called Life After Loss, and the 6th edition is going to be in stores soon. If you go to a store and you don't find it, ask them to order it, get it. It's incredible. He now tells the story of the grief experience, not just from his experience with moving, which was what generated the first version, and then his wife losing her breast. But then this sixth version tells how he went through the process for himself after his wife, June, passed away in February 2015. Am I correct? 2015, Bob?
2016.
2016. So let's talk about principles that people can learn from this book, and some of the things that you tell people who are going through grief.
I think the biggest, most important one is to not try to wait it out. Don't try to do an end run around it. It doesn't work. You have to walk right straight into the middle of it and feel all those feelings and cry all those tears, and that's all very healthy stuff. Researchers found that, we've known since back in the 40s when Lindemann noted after I'm blanking on the name of that big fire, and there were a bunch of people killed, and they studied the families of these people who died. Coconut groves, I'm trying to say, that's fire. And they studied them for a couple of years, and they found that their incidences of cancer went way up, like 7.5 times higher, and same with heart attack, that kind of stuff. And so then a man named Glenn Davidson in the 70s began with his group at Southern Illinois University, began studying why. What can we do about it? And what they found is about 6 or 8 months after a loss, in about 25% of the people, their immune system takes a nosedive.
What?
And, the number of white cells goes down to about a fourth its usual number, and the character of them changes so they're ineffective. So in essence, there is a window open. So then they started saying, okay, what can we do so this doesn't happen? And I've taken his 5 essences. You have to do 5 things you must do to get by. And then in my experience over 38 years is people don't have any higher risk than they did before, given your age and everything else. But the first one is to be in a group so you're not keeping it secret, you're talking about it. And the second one is always hard to, if I go see somebody after their loved one has died, and I say that one of the most important things you can do is you have to start drinking somewhere between 48 and 60 ounces of water every day. And they say, but I will, what? And then I say, yeah, you will, but you need to do that. And part of that is if you're dehydrated, you're depressed, and you're depressed enough already, you don't need any help. So it's once you get by that one, then the other 3 all have to do with adequate exercise, adequate diet, adequate sleep. And I was kind of stunned because I found nothing reference to what counts to you and counts to me is what about matters of faith. And so I called Dr. Glenn Davidson, and he told me but he turns out, by the way, he's an ordained clergy too.
Wow.
But working in the university. But he said, our research said people of faith are struck down as rapidly as everybody else. And what I found just now, I've never worked in a clinical setting, but in my own work with it, what it has seemed to me is that when we as Christians or as people of faith with any faith, if we decide that we have a leg up, if it's easier for us or shorter for us or easier for us, or we don't have to do this other stuff, then we just set ourselves up to be for bad times.
Wow.
So we have to do it too.
Wow.
And I found that true for myself. Going through, June and I got together at the age of 14 in junior high school, so she's the only girlfriend I ever had. So she's been the center of my life since I'm 15 years old. I'm 83 now, so this is this qualifies as a major loss.
Yes.
And I've had to pay attention to all those things, and they work. I got forced into being in a group because I'm leading 2 of them all the time. So.
Let's make sure I got the pieces. 1, get some group therapy or group counseling. Is that what you said?
Right.
Then get some.
Yeah, get in the group.
Get some counseling, grief counseling as well.
Right.
Okay. Drink more water, because your dehydration, a lot of it. Dehydration is a physical depression that goes along with your mental depression, and that makes it even worse. then get adequate exercise, adequate diet, and adequate sleep. And sometimes it's hard to sleep, huh?
Yeah, oh my goodness, sleep disturbance one way or another is very, very typical. But I use the word adequate because, for instance, my mother-in-law had Parkinson's disease for 33 years. For her, what it took to be adequate exercise, she's in a wheelchair, was quite different than it was at that time for my wife and I, who were doing competition roller skate dancing. We needed a high-level exercise, and she couldn't do that. But adequate for her was arm push-ups out of a wheelchair and so on. So it's adequate, for wherever a person is in life.
Ah, okay. Adequate for wherever you are in life and your lifestyle.
Right. Same thing with nutrition. It was kind of a guilt trip for me being a pastor of a church when I discovered, that the greatest risk to people after a major loss is not 4 or 5 days afterwards, where we as churches really took care of people, but 6 or 8 months after, when we've long since forgotten, thought they should be back to normal. And by the way, in my experience, there is no, it's kind of like the old baseball saying, it's over when it's over. But a good average for when somebody can say the tears aren't coming as regularly, life is taking on a new meaning. People in the Greek group coined the phrase, you create a new normal for your life. It's what was normal is gone. But that, somewhere close to 3 years.
Wow. You know what? Now, will you say that? Because I did not write a book. From the time it took me years to write another book after my mom and my brother died. And I was writing books. I was putting them out. But I just did not feel like writing a book. I just couldn't put, and it took me 3 or 4 years to get back to writing like I had been before. And I didn't notice that. Right. Yep, I noticed that. Yep.
It tells me you're a very normal person.
Well, and folks, I want y'all to realize this, that these principles really do work. And that's why I want you to get the book, because you go through it from the first page. From the first page, when I was reading it, it just captured me. And he tells the story of a person who had undergone some grief and how it had a loss, and how I said, I can relate to that. Oh man, I can relate to that. Wow, okay. And here's the line in first. What is the one experience that binds all human beings together? The answer is experiencing a major loss. A major loss is go ahead.
Excuse me. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah.
The other thing that I'm thinking of, the people you're talking to, and a lot of people dealing with financial things, and how to achieve and much and all that. One of the things I learned is that everybody, first of all, you have it exactly right. Everybody experiences loss. It's part of life. Nobody's picking on you. It's just part of life. If you did anything wrong, you got born. And that's
right.
Wrong you did wrong, because it's going to happen. The other thing is the one universal human experience after loss. It doesn't matter, anything else. It's the same for everybody, and there's just one, and that is you will go through 365 days of the first time you went through those days without that person. And, I just finished that, and it's that time spread, and it's a big deal. I didn't realize just how big a deal it was, but it's a big deal, and getting through that is critical. And coming to the end of it and marking it in some specific way is a big deal, and it's in the book. You can read about that. I won't take time for it.
All right, we're going to take a quick break for station ID, and we'll be right back. This is Dr. Willie Jolley. We'll be right back. Hi, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and I got an email from a gentleman in Australia who shared how he had been struggling in his business, and he bought some of my books and audios, and how it had a profound impact on his business, and he went from worst to first in his company. I shared with him how much I appreciated his note, but I told him those books, those audios, those videos were not just something that I just thought up one day and started to write. They were born out of my experiences, out of the challenges of overcoming the problems and the difficulties and how I was able to do it. And I shared with him that others have sent similar messages and that these resources work. I want to encourage you and invite you to go to my store. Go to wjspeaks.com/shop. wjspeaks.com/shop. Get some of the books. It only takes a minute to change your life. Or a setback is a setup for a comeback. Or turn setbacks into greenbacks. Or chicken soup for the soul. Or an attitude of excellence. Or the book I wrote with my wife after 34 years of being married and not having an argument in over 30 years. We wrote a book called Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last. And now it is saving marriages all over the globe. Go to the store. Get some of the audios, the videos, the books, the resources to help you have greater personal and professional success. This is Dr. Willie Jolley. Make this a great day on purpose. And we're back. This is Dr. Willie Jolley. My special guest is Bob Deits, best-selling author of a book called Life After Loss. He is one of the most profound figures in the grief industry, and I wanted to have him on because I know how it helped me. And I want many of you to have the same blessing, that's the best word, blessing in your life that I got through this book. And I have to thank that gentleman. I really need to reach out to him. It's been years since I spoke to him, who was kind enough to put this in the mail for me when I lost my mother. And I've just been changed. It changed my life. And now I've had so many people who around the country who have gotten a copy of this book from me when we buy them by the box load. And somebody, a close friend, we hear of a loss. We don't call them and say, hey, what can we do for you? You usually hear people say, well, if there's anything you need, let me know. But when you're going through that moment, you really don't know what you need. You can't think clear. You can't rationalize clearly. You're not quick-minded. You cry at the blink of an eye. I mean, that's part of the process. And I just don't even ask them anymore. As soon as I know it, I put it in the mail. I say, here's a little something I know you're going to need. And so I recommend all of you go to get Life After Loss. Get a couple copies. Get one for yourself and one to have around the house to bless somebody that you is going to come along. Because like he just said, the one experience we all going to have in common, the one thing that everybody's going to go through is loss somewhere along the line. Might be a divorce. Might be the death of a loved one. Might be a change in your housing or your life situation. Might be losing a job. But it all impacts you, and you'll have some grief, some sense of loss, and that's what I want. He says here now for some good news. You can get through every major loss without being destroyed by it. You can enjoy life to the fullest, knowing all the while that it will end. Everybody is capable of becoming good at doing grief work. Healthy grief is not a passive experience. It isn't something that happens to you. The loss is what happens to you. Grief is the normal, appropriate response to that loss. Grieving is something you do to heal the wounds in your life after a major loss. There's much more for you to do in response to any loss than just wait and suffer. You can actually take charge of your own grief process. You are the one person who can turn the pain of any loss into a creative hurt, an experience from which you learn and grow. The exercises you will find in this book will teach you how to do everything from getting a good night's sleep to enjoying eating again, to learning how to cry and move on to your life. I think this is a profound thought. Folks, you all are going to experience it sooner or later. As Les Brown said in one of his books, he said most people have their biggest hits between the age of 40 and 60. Somewhere in there, you're going to have some loss, typically. Now, Brother Deits has his biggest loss in his 80s. He had his biggest loss in his 80s, but you're going to have one. So what do you do when you have it? I recommend you get this book, Life After Loss. Have it on your shelf when you need it. If you're going through grief, get a copy right now. Read it. If you lost a loved one, mama, daddy, granddaddy, husband, wife, kid, somebody along the way over the last 5 years, get this. You're still probably struggling with it. And here's what I tell people. When you break your hand, what do? You go to the doctor. You break your foot, what do? You go to the doctor. But many of us are dealing with a broken heart, and we try and heal it ourselves. I'm grateful I had somebody bless me with this book, and I'm grateful I was able to get some grief counseling, and it helped me tremendously. tremendously. So I'm going to encourage everybody to make this a part of their routine to get this book. Let's talk about some more principles here, Brother Deits, that you tell people if you're years of, you're one of the leading experts in the world on this topic. So what is it about the difference between men and women, and how do people do the grief work? What is it that people have to do? What are the things they have to do to get past it?
Well, the used to be, back 28 or 9 years ago, when the first edition of this was published in 1988, there was a difference between men and women. But now, in part, I think because men are present in the delivery room when births take place, and they bond with babies, and they emote with them. They feel emotion. Or you watch television and see some massive football player cry because he lost the game.
Right.
It's opened the door to make it. I mean, I grew up with the big boys.
I see. When you were growing up, and men did not cry, and it was unmanly to cry. So they experienced it, or they at least masked it differently.
It was also unhealthy.
Yes, that's right.
Because men had much higher rates of heart attacks and so on, and that's part of it. But at any rate, I think. Again, is the thing. The main thing is to not pretend it's going to go away. Don't try to wait it out. People say, if I go get in a group or if I go talk to somebody about this, I'm just going to feel worse. And the truth is, on some occasions, people will come to a grief support group, and I tell them, they say, I went home and felt worse than when I came in. And I said, good, because then you faced something and brought it up, and now you can deal with it. Because if you leave it buried, you can't do anything with it.
Amen.
So you know that. One of the things that I've learned, that was one of the only thing that I've learned not differently, but new, since June died, is, like you, I'm a man with quite a vocabulary, because I earned my living shooting my mouth off,
Right.
And but I discovered that as much vocabulary as I have, when June died, I could not, and I can't, today is the same thing. I do not have any words adequate to express the depth of sadness and sorrow and pain that I feel and felt. That you can't tell somebody how to, but I discovered that really doesn't matter so much, because if someone hasn't experienced it, they won't understand anyway.
Right.
And if they have experienced it, they already know.
That's right.
So,
that's right. That's right. It's such a deep pain. And so, but here's the good thing. Here's the good thing, folks, that you have this deep pain, but then the process works to bring you out. I mean, I love I'm going to read a couple of the chapter titles, Brother Deits, and you can kind of jump off on each one as you see. Loss and mourning after, first response to a major loss, getting back up on your feet. Now, talk about that one a little bit.
Well, sometimes people talk about grief as though it's a sickness, or like you were sitting in a chair and somebody came along with a bucket of dirty water and poured it on you. The loss is what happened. The grief is what you do about it. And one of the key understandings is that I'm the one in charge of my own grief, and if I am, I can make it go how I want it to go once I figure that out. That's what that's all about.
Now, folks, I'm going to give you, he has a chapter in here that I think is profound. It is profound. The 4 key facts about grief. I'm going to read each fact,
Okay.
Bob, and you just you kind of riff off on that. The best way out of grief is through it.
Yeah. We've kind of already touched on that. You just have to make your mind up. It's like the old spiritual song. You're so high you can't get over it, so low you can't get under it, so wide you can't get under it. You've got to go in through the door. That's how it works.
The very worst kind of grief is yours.
Yeah, people ask, you may get this too, over the years I've asked hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, what's worse? Is the death of a child the worst thing there is? Or the death of a spouse, or death of a parent, death of a sibling? And the answer is the worst kind of death is whatever you're dealing with. That's the only one you're dealing with at that moment. So whether it's a kitty cat or your precious angel spouse or child, that's the one you have to work with now. And if you try to work with some other one, that doesn't work.
Wow, that's profound. Grief.
So people will tell themselves that I shouldn't. I shouldn't grieve this. There was in my grief group at one time. There was a lady who had 5 members of her family killed when somebody broke into their house, tied them up, and shot them all to death. And at the same time, there was a woman there whose 90-year-old father died. She said, "Well, I feel like I don't have a right to mourn because your loss is so profound." And that's the only time in my life I ever scolded somebody in a grief group, because if she ignores that, then she's in great physical danger herself.
Right. Wow. Grief is work. It's hard work. You must work through it. It's work. You got to work through it.
Yeah, again, that's just to say that because if you start working it, then you're the one in charge. Your hands, your mind. I push people to keep journals and journal their way through it, because it happens so slowly. You don't go from in the bottom of the pits to the penthouse in one fell swoop jump. It's not like a stair step. It's not even like a maze. It's just up and down and back and forth, and it's a way of keeping track of what's happening. But you are doing it, and that's an important fact. You don't sit and wait for it to go away. You do the work, and you'll reach. I learned this way back in the 70s, maybe 80s, that when a lady, her husband died, and she said, "I'm not taking any 3 years to do this." And she really worked. She did everything she could possibly do for the grief. And at about 2 years and 9 months, she walked up to me and said, "Bob, I have to tell you, it doesn't hurt anymore."
Wow.
Wow. That's an impossible concept when you're a few weeks out.
Yep. Effective grief work is not done alone.
Right. Same thing. You said it. You get grief counseling. You get with other people. It follows the same self-help principle as AA or any other good self-help group. Being with people, but you need there's a time when you need to turn to a counselor or maybe a psychiatrist. At times the level of the depression becomes clinical, and when that happens, then you're not going to get out of that until you deal with some antidepressant medicine for a while, and then you'll come out of it.
Wow, and that's big. That's huge, because from my community, African Americans have a stigma against going to get psychological help, counseling, therapy, and I'm always beating the drum. Look, don't let that, don't buy into that you need to not let that stop you, because that's a poor choice. And I met the president of the Black Psychologists Association when I was in Topeka, and I gave that message. He came into me and said, "My God, I've been waiting for you to come along. Somebody like you who's African American, who talks about the power of getting counseling, and that there is nothing shameful. In fact, you should take pride of it." Les Brown said, don't be afraid to ask for help. It does not make you weak. It helps to keep you strong.
Exactly. And there's among we culturally might differentiate and say how we conduct a funeral or memorial service, something, but basically the grief process is the same no matter what ethnic origin you're out of. It doesn't really make any difference.
That's good to know. That's good to know. It's for everybody. I'm going to take a quick break. We're going to come right back with Bob Deits. We got one more segment. I'm telling you, folks, and then we're going to talk about where you can get the book and how you can get it for yourself. This is Dr. Willie Jolley, and for sure, your best is yet to come.
Friendship is not about being convenient. It's about being committed and consistent. You can call on me when you need me. Call me. You can call on me. Call me. You can call on me. Pick up the phone. You can call and call me. If you cannot depend on them.
Hi, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and people often ask, how did I go from a broke, busted nightclub singer to become a best-selling author and to be voted one of the outstanding 5 speakers in the world by the 175,000 members of Toastmasters International? The answer is that I decided to invest and change my thinking, invest in my mindset, and decided to change my inputs because inputs determine outputs. I heard about a seminar years ago when I was just getting started. I was making about $100 a speech. And I heard this seminar that was creating millionaires, and it cost $10,000, but the guy was getting results. I didn't have that kind of money, but I decided to borrow it because I learned that there's a price for success, the price of college, the price of going to school, the price of education. And there's a price for success, and then there's a cost for not paying the price, the cost of staying the same. And that cost is greater than the price. It's too expensive. And so I went, and it changed my life. And I came back and quickly made $100,000. I heard a similar story from Dr. Dave Martin, how he went to a success rally, heard a speaker who inspired him. He and his friend said, wow, that's changed my life. The speaker had a package of materials to help build wealth. The package cost $1,500. And that was all the money Dr. Dave had to his name. Dr. Dave's friend asked, do you think this stuff is worth it? Dr. Dave thought for a moment. He said, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it. But I do know that I'm worth it. I'm worth it. He invested that money in that package and used the materials to grow his thinking. He grew his mindset. He shared how that $1,500 investment has gone on to generate millions in revenues. He's a multimillionaire. And he has homes now in Arizona and Florida. I want to say to you, it's time to invest in you. I want to give you some materials that will help you, grow your mindset, grow your future, grow your finances. Go to wjspeaks.com/billionaire. wjspeaks.com/billionaire to get some materials that will inspire your success and will help you find that there's a price for success, but there's a cost for not paying the price. And the cost is always greater than the price. Go to wjspeaks.com/billionaire and get the bag, the box, or any of the materials there and keep growing your wealth. And remember, as a man thinketh, so as he is, and your best is yet to come. All right, folks, we got one more segment, and this is a profound, powerful program. Please don't blow this off. Don't sleep on this because, as I said, there's one human experience that everybody is going to have that makes us all have in common. We're all going to lose a loved one somewhere along the way. Not maybe, not might. There is one thing, a major loss is in any loss that destroys a major loss is any loss that destroys a major part of what makes our lives normal. And we're all going to experience one day somebody we know, somebody we love is going to leave us. And so when it happens, we don't want you crawling up in a corner, nor do we want you ignoring and trying to put on a brave face and then having a loss in your immune system or a sickness because you've kept it in. We want you to be able to work through the process so you can get back to being completely healthy in a new normal, because your life will never be like it was before because there's a change. But you can have a new normal. I have a very new normal with the loss of my mother, my brother, and father-in-law in 2003. I have a new normal. I miss my brother, but I am grateful. I am grateful for the time. And here's what I share with eulogies. Every eulogy I'm asked to speak at, I tell them, you got to make a choice. You have to make a choice right now. You got to decide, are you going to curse because a rose bush has thorns, or are you going to celebrate because a thorn bush has roses? Are you going to curse because they're gone, or celebrate because they came this way? That's a perspective change. You have a choice, and I choose to celebrate. I choose to thank God for my mother. My mother was 87 when she died. She was 40 when my brother was born. 40. She was a teacher. She had traveled the world. She didn't get married till later in life, in her 30s, late 30s. She got married, had my brother. After my brother, back in the 50s when my brother and I were born, after my brother was born, the doctors then told her not to have any more children. That was unheard of to have a child after 40 back in the 50s. But my mama, thank God, did not listen to the doctors and had one more son, me. One more child. Thank God.
Good choice.
And so I'm grateful she and my dad chose to have one more child, and so when she died, I was challenged by it, but I'm grateful for that, the fact that she did it. My brother was in his 40s when he died. He was 48, and I was broken by it, hurt by it. But I had to go back and shift my thinking and say, now, do I curse because he's gone or celebrate because he came this way? And the years I had with him, because when he was 16, he had a new driver's license, had a new little Ford Econoline truck. He went out to visit some friends, and it was going his first time on the Beltway, and he cut in front of a tractor trailer, and he could have been killed. But the tractor trailer driver was able to brake quick enough to not kill him. And so think if he had died at 16, I would not have had him. So I had him for the rest of those years, and so I chose to celebrate. So, I tell people over and over again that it's a choice, a decision, but I want you to make that decision with a conscious thought process and pattern and use some resources to help you. This book. So again, the book is called Life After Loss. Is the 6th edition, number 6, SIXTH, 6th edition. Rabbi Earl Groman says one of the classics in the field of crisis intervention, with wise, reassuring, and understanding emotional guidance and practical suggestions for strength and support to get you through the process. You don't get over it. I'm over it. You get through it, and you get to a new normal. I'm telling you, Norman Cousins said a practical guide for those who have difficulty in finding their way back after profound ordeals. Highly valuable and compassionate. Where can people get the book, Bob Deits? Where can Amazon, I guess? And
Yes, they can. All I know so far, I've seen the cover of the new book. It'll be white with purple writing on it. But it will be available on Amazon.
Because many people I know right now who are listening say, I got to have that book. I'm going through it right now. I can feel it. I need it. I got to have it. So we want you to go get it. Let's talk about some of the other principles that you share in this book that are so powerful and so profound, that you help people through you start, as you said, you help people through the griefs that are not death related, but moving. Talk about your moving as a pastor and how that made you even write the book.
Yeah, I'm a United Methodist pastor, and so we are appointed to the churches we go to. That's part of the covenant we make. But so when we were in Southern California, and the bishop of the church said he'd like to send me to a church in Tucson, Arizona. It was a wonderful church, and we had friends there, and Jim and I both said, sure. And we even had a cabin in the mountains in Arizona. And we just said, oh, this is wonderful. But when we got here, and it hit us like a lightning bolt, We are separated from our family. We're separated from our familiar places. And within about 4 months, I think June was ready to leave me, and I was questioning whether I could stay in the ministry or not. But and it took us... I can remember, we both could remember, we'd always go to California for Christmas, and coming back we'd cry when we crossed the border, going back into Arizona. And one year coming back, we looked at each other and smiled because we're going home. And that was just about 3 years.
Wow.
So keep in mind, like I said before, and you have, it isn't like you stay in that pit on the bottom and all of a sudden you're at the top. I mean, it's a process, and that's why you work it, and it changes slowly. That's
absolutely true. Absolutely true. So grief can come from a lot of times people who are moving constantly can feel just disoriented, can be all discombobulated. And so this book can help you even if you haven't had the death grief, you're just dealing with grief, or you lost your job. Many people feel that they are their job. They are their job. My wife, when we were dating, she lost her job, and she was in deep depression and grief and struggling because she connected her self-worth to the job. And when she lost that job, they downsized and eliminated the department. She was grieving. She was really struggling. So we worked through that and got through that, or got through the process of it. And we didn't have the book then. If we'd had the book, we would have read it then. But we were both together through the loss of my brother, my mother, 25 days later, my brother 25 days later, and her father 8 hours after my brother. And we used this book as our textbook. We used it as our resource. That and good grief counseling got us through. Well, we've got about 2 minutes left in the interview. Tell me, Bob, any closing thoughts that you want to encourage people to do as they deal with grief?
I would say this is a kind of a new thing for me since June's death. There's a lot of little sayings thrown around that's supposed to make us all better. But one, you heard it said, if life closes one door, God will open another. And through my experience, I found that in the midst of that, I added something. I said, life closes one door, and God opens another, but sometimes it is hell in the hallway. And,
that's right.
You go through really tough time, but you have to believe, that if you keep working, you're going to come out and this new normal, and it's happening, by the way. It's happening to me now. I'm not going to go into that, but it's happening to me now. Something new is opening up that could not have happened if this would not happen to me. So
be positive, stay optimistic. Yep. There's something good that could come and will come down the road. We tell people I'm thankful. Many people know my book, Chicken Soup for the Christian Soul. I'm in the book Chicken Soup for the Christian Soul #2, and now in Chicken Soup for the Christian Soul of Stories of Faith. My story about my mother, my brother, and my father-in-law has become one of the top 100 stories of all time for the Chicken Soup series. Not just that book, for the whole series. They have a 100 top stories. Mine's in there. And let me tell you, folks, I wouldn't have been able to share with people, do all of these eulogies, help people, minister, bless, encourage them through this. And I know that it was God's way of saying, hey, look, I knew you could handle it. I'm going to give you an opportunity because you'll be able to share it. And I encourage people. And I just give God the glory that I had those years with them. I could choose to curse or celebrate. I choose to celebrate. So I want to thank Bob Deits for this great interview. Thank you for being on with me. Folks, I want to encourage you again to go get the book. The book is called Life After Loss. Life After Loss, and it is a practical guide to renewing your life after experiencing major loss. Bob, I think also you will have a website where people can go and just look up Bob, B-O-B, Deits, D-E-I-T-S. D as in David, E as in Edward, I as in Icicle, T as in Tom, S as in Sam. Just Google them. You'll get to a website. You'll get where you can get the books. You can find out how to have him come. He's in his 80s and still doing seminars and groups, and he can come to maybe speak for one of your events. This guy he's still dynamite after all these years, still doing great things. So I want to thank Bob Deits for his great interview. First, I want to thank him for writing that book that changed my life. Then for making and taking time to do this interview. Please go get this book. Get multiple copies, Life After Loss by Bob Deits, and it will bless you and bless those who are struggling. Second, I want to thank our friends at Truist Bank who have made this show a priority and have committed to be a partnership. I want you to know that they are committed to helping more people get low down payment mortgages. So if you're interested in a low down payment mortgage, go to truist.com/mortgage. Truist.com/mortgage and get information so it can help you get going and building generational wealth. Last but not least, I want to thank you for making this the #1 self-help show in America. And you did it by telling your friends, your family members, your coworkers, and sharing it with your network. Please continue to do that. And I'm encouraging everybody to go to winwithwillie.com. winwithwillie.com for resources to help you win more, and sign up for my newsletter. You'll be blessed by that. And remember, for sure, your best is yet to come. Have a great week. God bless you.
Are you tired of crying and complaining? Tired of feeling like life don't treat you fair? Do you see so many others
Well, I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode, and I hope you got something of great value. And I hope that you were inspired, you were motivated, you were empowered, and you were encouraged to live your best life. I hope this information and this inspiration will help you to do more, be more, and to achieve more. That's the goal why I started this program, and I hope it helped you in a mighty way. Now, I ask you to make sure and that you take full advantage of all the resources that came through this program. I hope you go to wjspeaks.com/gift and get some of the free resources that we have there for you. I hope you go to wjspeaks.com/shop to get some of the books that we have created, that we've labored over to make sure that they will deliver a powerful message to you. I hope you go to williejolly.com/billionaire, williejolly.com/billionaire, or wjspeaks.com/billionaire to get the box that it will inspire your whole family, or get the bag of books. Make this a great day, a great week, a great month. And remember, it is true that you are blessed and all things are possible for them that believe. So make the most of the belief that you have now in your future. This is Dr. Willie Jolley. Have a great day.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.